If you're watching these live streams, you're probably confused. It's not the morning, but we make afternoon exceptions for today's guest. He's been on the show. He's been working with me behind the scenes for 2 years to get my TED Talk off the ground. You'll learn how he can help you do that. But there's a big announcement. We're bringing him back for us. So, Cesar, welcome back to That Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm going to have you. Just might as well hold it up when we get started real quick. You got one by you?
Well, I mean, since you asked, there it is. Hey-o.
All right. Talk about this book. Who is this book targeted at?
Yeah, so this book is for anyone looking to develop their public speaking skills, but more specifically, if you're trying to get keynotes or trying to land and deliver a TEDx talk to, get your message out there, grow your credibility, increase your audience. This is the book for you. So it launches right into how to build the structure of a great speech.
Thank you for sharing that, everyone. It's on Amazon now, anywhere where books are sold. But people may be wondering, why are you the guy to write this book? What experience do you have? He's got a lot, so I'm going to let him dive in.
Yeah, sure. Well, my story started actually as a stand-up comedian. So that was my first career. It was my first love, my first dream. As a kid, I was in theater and like commercials and stuff like that. And I just found the stand-up stage, and it was a perfect marriage. About 10 years into it professionally, I started to feel like I wanted, more, like to go deeper with my audiences. So I went back to grad school. I studied creative writing. I ended up teaching at a college. And from those courses that I taught, what I learned, I started then, essentially created a keynote speech that made me like a full-time speaker. And I did that for a while, and people started asking me like, oh, can you help me with my talk? I started coaching for TEDx, and they were like, how do I get in? And so it was just really kind of organically that this business was built, that I've been doing for the last 5 years, where I specialize in helping people land and deliver keynotes and TEDx talks.
And I'd love to highlight something that makes him unique. He has these awesome mastermind calls. Let's talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, so my group has just continued to grow and grow. So I have a public group that's on Facebook, which is just TEDx and keynote speakers. And you can find that on there. We've got over 12,000 people in the group now, which is amazing. And we're just trying to add as much value as we can, answer questions, really help people along with the process. And then, of course, I also have my community for my clients. And it's awesome. Like, we meet every other week, and we are just growing and developing our public speaking skills. And so every call, we have 2 people that are delivering their talk that they're getting ready for. So whether that's a keynote or a TEDx, I'm giving them feedback, right? And then the community is also saying like, oh, this was awesome, but here's what I'd like to see more of. So really the goal is that everyone is understanding the structure of a great talk, but then also working on their delivery as well.
I absolutely love it. And it certainly continues to help us grow and grow all the resources he has in there. So stick around to the end of the show, everyone. We'll tell you exactly how to get involved in that group, but it's time for some advice. If there's someone tuning in right now, whether live or after it airs, hey, how do I start today maybe improving my speaking skills? I'm not the best speaker. Where are some good early entry points to have them maybe start to improve?
Yeah, that's great. So one of the reasons why a TEDx is so popular is it's a short talk, right? It's about 10 to 12 minutes long. And it's also on this awesome platform for thought leaders, and it really can serve as a launching pad. And so I would really recommend that if you're like, okay, I want to develop these skills, set a goal or a specific outcome. So maybe that's not a TEDx, but it could be. Maybe it's just that you want to speak at, your sister's upcoming wedding, right? And you've got to prepare for that. So have a goal in mind so that then that makes it sustainable. The next thing is that, and this is why we wrote the book, is the thing that can take you that can make the biggest improvement right away is understanding the form of speech. Most of us just kind of launch in and we've heard a few things and we think like, oh, okay, if I do this, that, maybe it'll come together, without actually thinking of why speeches work and why they don't work. So those are the two things I would say: is have an event, a destination, a goal in mind, and then really focus in on the structure of a great talk.
It's great advice, being specific to what are we trying to do first, and then we can worry about actually what we're going to say. So that's absolutely incredible. What benefits have you found from writing a book with your business so far?
It's been pretty awesome, actually, and I hesitated for a long time to do it, even though it's one of those things that's on most folks' bucket list, right? And I think I get in my head, and when I work with clients, is very common. You want it to be perfect, right? And you want it, and you start comparing it to the books that you most admire and have had the most success. And I think I got in my head for a while there, and I wasn't allowing myself to make progress. But also, you do want to find the thing that really motivates you, and where you go, this is it, right? And so both things need to happen. What I have found now that it's out, and it took me and my co-author about 2 years to get it done. And again, I think this was mostly because of the hemming and hawing in the beginning. But what I have found actually is that people are actually reading it, which I don't know, that sounds crazy to even say out loud, but maybe I had low expectations. And they're taking notes, and they're sending me pictures, and they're saying this is really helping, and that it's an enjoyable read. So what has happened from it is, of course, again, your credibility and trust goes up, right? And people start sharing it with other people and talking about it. And because it's an accessible way to find out about me, right? It's $15 or whatever it is. This is all like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to sign up for one of Cesar's programs, but let me check out the book and see what it's about. And so I think that has been the most gratifying, is just watching people make strides after they read it.
It's a great entry place for potential clients. Like you said, hey, they may not be ready for my coaching, but they may go on Amazon and just grab a book. Let's see what this guy's about, right? Before we go all in. And this book is making differences all over, like you said, which is really, really cool. And you can't spell authority without author. And this is a recent, I didn't coin this. It's just like, years later after writing a book, just heard this. I'm like,
I love it.
It's pretty true. Where everyone out there, you have a book inside, you have a story inside. You don't have to work with someone like me, but you can do it on your own. There will never be a perfect book. There'll never be a perfect talk, never be a perfect podcast, right? There's just never a perfect product. So don't be hard on yourself. Get your message out there. If you need some assistance, again, Cesar's a great guy to go to, and we'll revisit his contact information at the end of the show. But Cesar, you've grown this group, this big group. It's growing and growing. You mentioned there's also a free group that people can get involved on, similar to your book, as a good entry point. What are some things they can expect if they were to join this group?
Yeah, so that's the Facebook group. And essentially on there, we're sharing wins. We're answering questions that they might have about, any part of the process. I do a monthly event, and I bring in, an expert on this last month. We had somebody come in, and she's a professional stylist. And I get the question all the time, like, what should I wear to my TEDx talk or this keynote? And I'm like, I wear a baseball cap every day. I'm not sure I'm the guy. I've gotten better at answering this question, but it's always great to bring in expertise on, different things that I'm not an expert in. And so we provide all of that for free. And again, I really feel like rising tides can lift all boats. And I just think that when you give, it comes back. And that has been true throughout my life, and certainly has been true in the business.
It always comes back twofold, threefold. The more you do for others, the more it comes back. And now, as he mentioned, he didn't start here, and that's okay. It doesn't matter where you start, everyone. It's where you're going, where you end up. Looking back on your stand-up career, do you have a notable talk or memory from that time you could share with our audience to get to know you a little more?
Oh man, I laugh because there's always one story that comes to mind. And anytime anybody asks me about like, give us a stand-up story. Well, first I'll say like I got to in stand-up. The comedians are very accessible, right? Like I've shared the stage with George Lopez, Kid and Play, Fluffy. I mean, the list goes on, and those are super memorable, and especially for me at the time, it was like incredible that I got to experience that. But one thing in particular that stands out is I got asked to do this show called The Naked Show, and it's exactly what you think it is. Every comedian is completely naked, and the audience can be naked if they want to be. And it was started by this nudist who's a stand-up. And when he first asked, I said, no, man, I don't want to do that. That's crazy. But then I thought about it, and I was like, and this was in Boston. I thought about it, and I was like, when is this ever going to be a thing that I'll have the opportunity or the risk to take and to do? And I also thought, I'm saying no because that's scary, and I don't want that to be the reason that I say no. And it'll make a great story. And what else could I possibly fear after doing this? So I do it. It's the whole thing is kind of weird, because most people that are at the show aren't nudists. And so then, like, as a comic, you feel like you just have to comment on the fact that everybody's naked. What's going on here? And that's not everybody's uncomfortable. So the show was fine. It was okay. I don't think I had a great set. I don't think anybody had a great set. But I'm glad I did it. My one regret is that I wish I had a photo of me on stage.
How many participants were in this thing?
It's like an hour and a half show, so there might be like 10 to 12 comics, something like that. Mostly dudes, of course. That's stand up mostly is dudes, and and there definitely were some nudists that show up and nudists in the audience. So like it's weird. Like some people say like, oh, picture the audience naked. That's like an old piece of advice that people give. In this case, you didn't have to. There was actually naked people in the audience. And let me tell you, that's more distracting than it is helpful. Like it was wild, dude. I'd never do it again, but glad I did it.
Well, thank you for sharing. A challenge for everyone. Get outside your comfort zone. You never know where it will propel you, your passion. Now, that experience, ultimately, he kept speaking, kept fine-tuning his craft. And now he's at that authoritative figure status with a thriving paid community, giving back with the free community, but now this published book. Do you see yourself as a two-time writer?
Well, the way that we wrote the book is that it's one of three.
Okay.
So, and it sets it up that way and structures the first book. The second is going to be writing, and the third is delivery. In this first book, we do touch on some of delivery, because I think you really have to be thinking about that the whole time through. The other thing we did very intentionally is I thought about a client that was going to begin the journey, and I wanted to write a book that was clear, easy to read, and would help them through the journey of working with us. And I knew that if I wrote it for them, that it would never go wrong. That like if nobody ever was interested in the book or whatever, my clients would have it. Yeah. I also knew that if people were interested, that it would definitely help them, right? Because I know my client.
Yeah. And your work definitely does help a lot of people. I've gotten great value and fun in our connection together. I'm pretty sure Dr. Lulu was the forging connection there.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Lulu, big chef. You don't know Dr. Lulu, big name in the mental health game, big time speaker.
She's awesome.
I believe she's out in Texas as well.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, great one. I met her as a cold connection. I started a mental health break back in beginning of 2020 before COVID, and I would Google these top mental health influencers, doctors in the world to work with. And out of the cold networking game, like, you send 100 messages, you hear back from a few. And she was one of the ones that started off that podcast that helped give it the recognition to get more people on the show and now blossom into a top 5% show. So I'm very grateful for Dr. Lulu's contribution to the mental health world. But as we wind down, I've got some more advice for our audience. If you can give advice, Cesar, to any new stage entrepreneur, someone who's new in the game, head spinning, there's a million things to do, help give them some peace of mind.
Yeah, what I would say is that if you're nervous about speaking, it's usually for one of two reasons. You're not prepared, or you think it's about you, and it's probably both. It's very natural to think it's about you because it's a little bit about you, right? But remember, it's for your audience, and if you can focus and put your energy on thinking about what will create the greatest transformation with the time that you have with them, then those nerves and what to do next kind of dissipates. And then on the preparation side, often we're thinking about the end too early. Like, what we need to do is just the next step that's in front of us and continue to prepare. And I'm somebody that, really tries to over prepare because that's where confidence comes from.
Yeah. Can't argue with that. I tend to over prepare as well. When I'm doing something, I believe in doing it well, or why even bother? And when I'm doing something, unfortunately, there is hours that accompany that goal. But you really touched on something beautiful there. Right? Don't worry about it all the way up here. Let's get here first, and then we'll get here, and then we'll keep moving there. I'm curious to see if your answer to this has changed since your earlier show. Any entrepreneur out there, dead or alive, who you would choose to have a conversation with?
Oh, good question. I would say my most recent right now is actually a client of mine that just gave me his book. His name's Bill Kennedy. Okay. And he's awesome. I don't know, when you meet people that just have a way with conversation and like an ease of it, no matter how successful they are, they can relate to anyone and help anyone make progress. I think that's how I feel when I'm in his presence, and I'm digging into his book now. And so I hope to just continue to have more time with him.
That's great. And see what happens when you put yourself out there, you start a community, you attract other awesome people who now you can get inspired by. And also, I'm sure it's, right back, you're helping him as well. Where have you met in person or just virtually?
Yeah. So actually it's funny. We got to connect at his TEDx event that he just delivered in. And so I got to be there in person. And so it was cool. It was just, it's different being in person. You get to see how tall each other, it's funny. It's like the first thing you notice, you're like, oh, you're taller than I expected. Or if they're not, then you just don't say anything. But yeah, man, it was great.
That's so funny. Well, everyone, I hope you got a lot of value out of this. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pop up a little website here, but there's a lot of places to get in touch with Cesar. I'm going to ask him to share. But first, thank him so much for coming back on the show. Again, a lot of speaking, writing, and delivery tools out there. I want to thank the listeners for helping keep this a top 2.5% global show. See us on the show here, on the screen here, greatspeech.tv. Where else can we find things you offer?
Yeah, so that'll take you right to my website, and there's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like my newsletter and the information about the programs. But the book is available everywhere. Go on Amazon. That's the easiest place to get to. And just Great Speech. And grab it. Grab a copy already. Come on now.
All right. I hold it up one more time then, because that way after watching this on my LinkedIn feed later, they can see the copy, right? Beautiful cover, big letters right there. Everyone, if this is something you've been striving for, making excuses of why you haven't been doing it, it's okay, but you have tools, experts, all the above right in front of you. So go ahead and take that next step. You never know how much it will change your life. My name is Vincent A. Lancey, and this is That Entrepreneur Show. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. And today is brought to you by comingalivepodcastproduction.com. Be sure, again, please check out his free resources. Check out his paid resources. They will help you level up in a time where we need to level up and get ahead of our competition. So, Cesar, thank you so much for stopping by again.
Thanks, man.